I am so incredibly blessed to have my guest this week. Mulindwa is a missionary and the founder of Made A Way Ministries, where she's building schools and orphanages and libraries in different villages in Uganda. She's also my friend and a local spruce grover, so stay tuned for another amazing episode of Abounding and Alive.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Abounding and Alive. I'm your host, Becky, and if you are a returning listener, thank you for being here. I really appreciate everyone's support, but if you are new here, thank you for choosing to watch my show. I know you have a lot of things to choose from online, but you are choosing to be here, and I appreciate it, and I promise you will be blessed by today's show. Anyone who doesn't know my show, I'll just give you a brief intro about what it is. So I believe wholeheartedly in holistic healing. When it comes to healing, that means you're doing emotional work, spiritual work, physical work. You're doing all of the work in order to get the health you're looking for. So I started this podcast to try and highlight people who are in that holistic health space. More specifically, people helping others. Now, it doesn't have to be people helping people per se. I do have somebody who helps with animals, and you will hear from her in a couple of weeks. It can also be people helping themselves, overcomer stories, stories of survival. But it can also be people who help people. So one-on-one, we have motivational coaches, we have trainers, we have speakers, we have authors, or we have people who help others on the other side of the world. And that is where today's guest comes in. Her name is Kira, and she works, well, I'm not even going to say, I'm just going to let her introduce herself because I don't want to take any or steal any thunder from her. Hi.
Hey, Becky.
So, Kira, I'm so excited to have you here. Obviously, what you are doing is very near and dear to my heart. But I want you to just explain everything from the beginning. Tell me who you are, what you do, how you help people, where across the world.
Awesome. Well, my name is Kira Mulindwa. As you may notice from the last name, I'm married to a Ugandan. And so I went to Uganda for the very first time on a mission trip in 2007. And I absolutely fell in love with the country, with the people. And so I went on a 2-week mission trip, and I just knew that that is where I needed to be.
Wow.
And so I came back and I quit my job as a social worker, and I packed my bags and I moved to Uganda. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I quit my job, and my mom probably thought I was losing my mind.
Yes.
But I kind of like Stuart at that point in time. So I was like, I can go do the work of the Lord and check out this guy in the meantime.
Right.
And so I ended up marrying my husband down there. He was my interpreter. And during that time, there was a war going on in northern Uganda. Pastor Jennifer, a mutual friend of ours, she was actually a child soldier and abducted by the rebels. So there was a war going on at that time where Joseph Kony and the rebels, they were coming and they were abducting children and training these children to become child soldiers. And so in the middle of the night, they would come and they would steal these kids and they would train them to either like you kill or we kill you, you maim or we maim you, you rape or we rape you. And that was the whole mentality. Yeah, it's pretty intense in northern Uganda. And so that's what I was living in. Out of that, an orphanage kind of was born called the Uganda Jesus Village, where we took the kids out of the northern part of Uganda and we brought them to a central location in Kampala, and we started the Uganda Jesus Village. And now all those kids become adults. That was back in 2007. We're at 2025 now. In the last couple of years, I just felt God say, well, what are you going to do now? All these orphans are adults. And so I decided that I was going to build a school. And so we have a school in northern Uganda where we take care of 527 students full-time. Education is really, really expensive in Uganda. So say the average police officer would make like $200 thousand shillings. That's about equivalent to $75 Canadian a month. And so, you have to pay your rent, your food. Then you're looking at school fees, which are about 500,000 plus, which is like $250 every 3 months. So how do they pay for their kids to go to school? And so a lot of Ugandans are very uneducated. And so I just felt like God said, let's do something for their future. And so myself and a couple other partnering ministries, we built this school. We feed them every day. We now have 27 full-time staff, as well as, our 527 students. And so that's kind of how it got birthed. And now that is completely self-sustaining for the most part. And so now I'm going into other areas and being like, okay, now what? Right now we're trying to build a library in the northern part of Uganda, literally in the jungles in the middle of nowhere. Because have you ever tried to if you think we just grew up knowing all of these things in North America, but trying to explain to a kid, oh, I came on an airplane. That's how I got here. And they're like, well, what's an airplane? And I'm like, kind of like a bus that flies. And I'm like, wait a minute, they've never even seen a bus. And then it's like, oh, well, maybe it's kind of like a car that flies. And I'm like, a lot of these kids haven't even seen a car. So the closest thing that they could relate to was a motorbike that flew in the air.
Wow.
So it's like, how do you explain these things, right? So we built a library and we built playgrounds. We do feeding programs. We do, I make washable, reusable sanitary pads for girls to keep them in school during their monthly cycles, because that's a huge issue. I remember asking my sister-in-law, I'm like, well, what do girls use when they don't have anything? And she's like, well, moss or like old rags.
Pardon me, moss?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Nature's pad, I guess.
I guess, right? But I mean, it's something to think about in North America. So these girls are getting all these infections and stuff because they don't have proper things, or they end up selling themselves to men for sexual favors to get $2 to buy pads, right? Or they'll have to work hours in farmers' fields to get pads. So, I mean, just things that are so second nature to us, they don't have that opportunity, right? And so we also have a clinic there, a small clinic. That's just a little bit about what we do.
That's intense. I don't think I don't know. I think we're fairly ignorant over here in that, yes, that there are third world countries, or that there are countries where people live differently than us. But I definitely think we take for granted. I was complaining how expensive pads were to buy for my kids the other day. I'm like, $10 for a bag? This is an outrage. But you know what? It's not moss.
Yeah.
It's not a plant. I'm just thinking how accessible everything is for us, and it's not over there. And I mean, I would like to think that I'm fairly worldly. I know some things, but even now you're blowing my mind here.
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked too. Because I just started thinking, when I was living over there, because I lived in Uganda for a couple of years simultaneously while I was waiting for my husband to get his visa to come to Canada, or his permanent residency. And so you start trying to figure out, you would even as a white person, I would go to the bigger supermarkets, and you would maybe find a very small sample size of pads of they have 3, or some of the bigger superstores you could get maybe some OB tampons, but that was it, right? So you have 2 options, and for a white person even, they were super expensive, right? And so I was like, how do people afford these? And then I started asking these questions of well, what do people do? And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, what if I just designed a pad? And so I just came up with a design. And so I just got one of the big, they like the big pads there for some reason. So I got one of the big, always with wings. And I just traced it out on some cardboard. And then I was like, okay, well, we need a core. So I just cut up a bunch of towels, old towels, and made that the core of the pad. And then did a waterproofing layer, which I just use old shower curtains from the thrift stores, or those the heavier plastic tablecloths you can get from the dollar store with the kind of felt backing, and then a cotton layer and a flannel layer and some snaps, and away we go.
That's wild. And so do you make those all yourself, or does somebody make those for you now?
Yeah, well, I make them for myself, as well as the women at Holy Trinity Catholic Church. They were awesome. They sold me a ton of them. and just different moms, different grandmas all over Canada and the US actually. And so we've not only just brought these pads to Uganda, but I've sent them to the Philippines, I've sent them to Caribbean islands, I've sent them to Pakistan, to Malawi, Africa. So they're kind of all over the place at this point. So
it's insane to think that there are multiple countries in the world, probably millions of women in the world who don't have access to what seems like basic necessities, right?
Well, and then they end up having to do things that they don't want to do in order to get these things, right? So girls end up dropping out of school because they don't have pads, or they end up, like I said, they'll end up doing like sexual favors for older boys to get a couple dollars to buy pads, because they're a very humble culture, and they're very like, I don't even know what the right word, they're very reserved, right? Like, and so they're very embarrassed about, like, they don't talk about having their periods like we would here, right?
Right.
It's very hidden. It took me a while to kind of figure out like what was going on, and just talking to different girls. And I mean, the girls in the cities and stuff, they don't deal with it as much as the girls in the rural areas, but it's still, nevertheless, it's a problem that we deal with. And so my heart is to come up with solutions to the problems that they're facing.
Yeah. So what other problems would you say face children there, or teenagers, or young women, or young men?
Well, one of the other, actually the very first project I ever did in Uganda was building playgrounds.
Wow.
When I was living there, I was like, well, where do families go, right? So there's like the lower class, and then more recently, they've kind of got a middle class in Uganda, but it's like the poor and the rich. And so, if you have money, like, you can go bowling, you can go to the movie theaters. They have a Hyatt hotel. They have, a Sheraton. I mean, they have like really a high-end things. They have high-end swimming pools, spas, all of that kind of stuff, right? So, I mean, if you have money, you can live like you do here in North America, but that's only like 3% of the population. So I'm like, well, what does everybody else do, right? And so we had Kaylor, our son, and we were living there, and I'm like, well, what do we do with him? Or what do other families do? And then we ended up having a flash flood, and these two twins ended up dying in that flood because they were playing in the open drains. If you come to Uganda with me, you'll see it. They have these huge open ditches on the side of the road. I mean, they're massive. They're probably like 5 feet deep or something. And these kids, they play in them, and then water comes and they got drowned. And so I decided that we needed to build playgrounds. So that's what I started doing. I used all mostly recycled material and started building like climbing structures with old tires, putting monkey bars and slides and stuff out of metal as well, and like little metal drums so they could drum. And so we just started building playgrounds. Everything I do is just like, I find like, okay, what if I lived here, and if I was a mom here still, what would I want for my kids? And how can I make life a little bit better for families? How can I make things more accessible? And kind of my heart is like, where love is felt, the message of Christ is heard. And that's kind of always been my motto. Like, first, you can tell people about Jesus all you want, but if they're starving to death, they could care less about Jesus, right? And so
that's fair.
Right. So, I mean, you have to meet the practical needs before you ever meet the spiritual needs.
Yeah. I've never really thought of it like that, but you're incredibly right here. I hear people say all the time, like, well, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? There's a lot of people protesting everything you could possibly think of right now. But like, realistically, what is anybody doing about anything? Nothing.
Yeah.
They're just complaining on social media. So you're actually in there helping people, having practical solutions. Again, a park, we just take it for granted. As young moms as we were, you just take your kid to the park. You could go 4 times a day if you wanted. You wouldn't even think of it.
And that was just kind of my heart behind everything we do, is like, I've always been kind of a person, and I never know how it's going to turn out. I just, I have a very small partner base. I don't take any money personally for myself. Like, everything that comes in, 100% of it goes back to the people. I don't pay myself or anything like that. And I'm like, I just started thinking like, what can I do? And I just kind of jump off the diving board and hope to God that he'll catch me in the middle of my brainstorms or ideas. And so far I've been lucky. So,
how many times would you say you've gone to Uganda?
This February will be my 28th time.
Oh my word. That is commitment in 18 years. So that's multiple times a year.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
do you ever, this is just an aside, but do you ever go back and not serve in the ministry? Like, do you ever go back to see your husband's family or sightsee or vacation, or is it you're there working?
Most of the time I'm there working.
Yeah.
I do try to make like one day on every trip to go say hi to my nieces and my nephews. And,
Yeah.
everybody needs you. And I mean, everybody, I have 67 orphans there. I have 527 students. I have 27 staff. And so when I'm there, I don't sleep. I'm like, it's just go, 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 go for me. But I do. I always like to go on a safari when I'm there.
Yeah.
That's kind of my downtime. I'm like, how can you go to Uganda and not see like lions and leopards and elephants and giraffes? I'm like, you have to see them in their wild environment.
We were talking about your next trip, how, it can be very heavy, seeing children who don't have much. So, so almost just padding that for your own, because how do you give if you have nothing left to give, right? If it's all drained out of you, being
And
able
it's
to just give
important
yourself
for your
some-
mental health.
Yeah.
I found for my teams, they would, after like the fourth day, everybody would just start burning out and crying. Like, I mean, our debrief time was like an emotional like roller coaster. I'm like, call in Dr. Phil, so because people would just have mental breakdowns. And so I found that if we did like, like 3 days of intensive like ministry stuff, like feeding kids, being in orphanages, even driving there, it's just insanity, right? And so all of these different things coming at you, I find that like, on the third day, like it's like, okay, we're going to go to Cafe Java's, which is kind of like equivalent to like our Boston pizza. And so people can get chicken fingers, they can get a Caesar salad there, they can get something that's something that's familiar, right? And they have this spa there called Sparkles, and you can get like a pedicure for like $2, and it is like the best pedicure you've ever had in your life. And so, we do little things like that along the way to keep our mental health in check, because you can't give out an empty bucket, right? And so I think it's really important, whether you're in North America or whether you're overseas, to take care of your mental health and to do things like
absolutely.
So.
And I know when we were talking about this missions thing, which just a disclaimer to anyone watching, I'm considering going. I have to decide this week. But yeah, that you were saying. What, sorry?
I said we're begging her to come.
Oh, I want to so bad. But, just the stuff that everyone is bringing for these kids, and just for them to feel, number one, loved. And not that gifts mean you're loved, but in a group of kids who may not ever get gifts, like that is love, right? And just listening to you talk about the pedicures, like I heard somebody say in the group, yeah, let's bring some nail polish or something, like just so these, because I don't go anywhere without my nails done, right? And it's like I show up in this third world country like fancy sparkly nails with these kids who have nothing, and it's like, I don't know, it's
well, I just think it's such an act of love, right? Like, because you're actually holding their hand while you're painting.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's almost intimate, like this moment where I'm like holding your hand and I'm trying to be as perfect as I can. I loved doing it for my girls when they were young. I'm not good at it, but I like to. Let's go pick out a color. Let's go do it, or take them to the nail salon or whatever. And obviously a lot of them aren't ever going to get this opportunity. So just to have that moment with a couple children is just so sweet to me, or teenagers or women or whatever. I see why you do what you do. Honestly, it's hard. I'm sure it's very heavy, probably pretty exhausting at times, but I see why you do it, because there's so much more out there beyond what we've got going on here.
Well, I think it's so easy to get stuck in our world and our daily routine. I mean, so many people are like, oh, why don't you go back to social working? Or now that I just finished my counseling degree, it's like, why are you still going to Africa? And I'm like, because Africa is in me. Like, once you go once, it's almost impossible not to go back. Like, I hadn't explained it. They just have a way of getting into your heart. And it's just such a safe place to go. Uganda is a very safe place to go. And the people are just beautiful people. And just having those moments to, I might not be able to reach the multitudes. I mean, I did. I used to preach in front of like hundreds of thousands of people. I do these mass crusades. And one day I was like sitting in the bathtub, and God literally, he's like, you are wasting your money. you are wasting donors' money. And I'm like, it was very convicting to me because I'm like, whatever happens to these people afterwards, like nobody ever knows, right?
Yeah.
And so with the school, I mean, I started with 3 kids from our original orphanage that, I knew they knew Jesus, they knew his love. And that was it in the whole entire region. And within 3 years, I know that every single one of my students have given their life to Jesus. I know where they're at. I mean, it's just awesome to see like the fruit of what has happened in their spirit life and in their mental health and in their physical health. We're there for them every day, right? And so it just was a practical thing that we could do.
Like growing up, my parents always had those sponsor children, right? Through Compassion or World Vision or whatever. So I always saw that. And then when I was a brand new mom, I think Eden was a couple months old. I went to a church conference and I got my own sponsor child. That sounds so weird to say it like that, my own. Yeah. But I sponsored a child. And I actually got a letter today saying that he's done in the program now because he's aged out. Even the sense of pride I have with that this boy has really we've been in each other's lives for 15 years. I don't know him or anything, but there is a sense of pride there. So to go even further, like you have this orphanage, you have this school, you have all of these people that you're helping, and you actually get to see them go on to do things or see how the kindness or your generosity or your love has touched them and shaped who they are. Whew, I have chills, girl. Chills thinking about it.
Well, and if you come to Uganda with us, Becky, it's the same. You'll find the same thing. I mean, you love these kids. And I mean, don't ever underestimate the power of being a World Vision mom or being a Compassion Canada mom. Yeah. Right? I mean, it is powerful. And they do make a difference. And I mean, these kids get to go to school and have meals because of people that do stuff like that. I mean, Jennifer, it was World Vision that rescued her out of the war, right? And so she was hiding in a canal and some guy came by on a bike and, he sent back World Vision to get her and to rescue her. And so, these organizations on the ground, whatever you can do, maybe you can't come to another nation, but maybe you can sponsor a kid through any organization and it makes a difference. And you should be proud of yourself. Your kid got through school because of you.
Yeah, that's true. I never really thought of that. He's from Brazil, and I don't know. I never really thought of Brazil as a place that struggled. All I see is like beautiful supermodels and athletes and stuff, right? But his town was on a garbage dump, and that was his job, to climb through the dump and find things that they could sell. Yeah, and it's like, how is that a life for anybody, especially a child? Like, it's not.
Yeah, and it's very realistic in a lot of these countries, even in Mexico, right? Like that's where I started off, was in Juarez, Mexico. And I went and lived in the garbage dumps with these kids for a year. And it's very real, right? But we only see the resorts. You see Mexico, you think resort. You think Jamaica, you think resorts. But even Jamaica, there's still poverty. And, you think of all these different countries, like you said, Brazil, and you only see what you see. But if you go outside the resorts, you see a whole other side of those places. So.
And for most of us, we don't ever go off those resorts. We never do. It is a little eye-opening, as you said, like the drive, even in these resorts. I've been to Jamaica, I've been to Mexico multiple times, I've been in Dominican, and you drive through some fairly impoverished areas. And then you soon forget because, there's cocktails and there's a beach and whatever. But like these people literally live like this all the time. And then so, with my sponsor child from Brazil, like I started sponsoring him in 2010. Well, in 2013, my husband and I split. And so now I was a single mom and things were very, very tight. And in 2015, still a single mom, I went to another, I think it was a concert. I think it was a Third Day concert. And they had World Vision there. So of course I got another little child from Philippines. And so now I'm the single mom. I can barely pay my bills, like legit barely pay my bills. And I've got 2 sponsor children. And, just to get that letter today, I had Eden open it up and she's like, "Oh, this is cool, Mom. Like, how old is he? How long have you had him?" I'm like, "Since you were a tiny baby." And it sort of warmed my heart. And so to have the ability to go into one of these countries and meet children whose lives potentially I could impact. Not that it's all about me. In no way am I trying to self-serve, but to be able to have an effect on someone's life. They have a memory of some kindness from some people. Like, man, I want that so bad.
And it makes it worthwhile. And I think your story has so much to offer so many people there because you're an overcomer in so many ways.
Yeah.
Now I get it. I'm getting emotional, but I mean, you've
Oh,
overcome.
girl, don't even get me started here.
I'm like, bring the makeup. But you've overcome so much. Being a single mom to battling cancer to all of these things. I mean, there was a time a couple of years ago, we didn't know if you were going to still be here to even do this podcast, right? And so,
totally.
I mean, you have a story of being an overcomer, and yes, it's different scenarios, but I think for you to share, like, look, even in North America, things aren't always easy.
Yeah.
But if we put our faith in God, then he will pull us through. When there's nothing left, when there's no plan B, because a lot of these guys, they don't have a plan B in Africa. It's like either God shows up and heals them or they die. Wow. There's no plan B, right? Like, I mean, people always ask me, they're like, here, why do you see so many miracles in Africa compared to North America? Yeah. There's no plan B. It's like either God shows up and does something or they're dead. Like, that's it, right? And
well, I think it's a testament to like the faith there as well. I feel like we're just so distracted here. And even me, I've seen some miracles in my own life, literally. And it's like, we're so distracted here. It's like, how do you even hear God or see miracles when your face is buried in your phone, or I've got a million things on my plate today? I've wondered this too, because I've heard about how Africa, like the spirit moves in Africa. And I always wondered why, but I guess that makes sense.
I don't know. It's a great place to be. I mean, I've been to 47 different countries, but Uganda just found my heart.
Yeah. So, gosh, it must have been pushing 10 years ago now. I was at work one day and we would hire this courier to come in, and he and I just became friends through him coming in, picking up our orders, going out. I'm chatty, right? Chat with everybody. But I found out he was from Rwanda, which is right beside Uganda, right? All I ever knew of Rwanda was like genocide, in the whatever it was, 90s. And he was like, you would love Rwanda. And I was like, would I? That seems sketchy for me. Single mom going there by myself. And he's like, no, it's amazing. I got family. If you ever want to go, I will hook you up, whatever. And I remember coming home and telling my friends, hey, I want to go to Uganda, or I want to go to Rwanda. And they're like, no, you don't do that. And I told my parents, certainly. They were like, absolutely not. But I know a guy from Uganda, and he was like, no, Rwanda is safe. It's totally safe. It's fine. Like, some stuff went down in the early 2000s and now it's safe.
And Rwanda is actually one of the safest countries. So, and very, very clean.
Oh, very clean. Okay, that's cool. It looked very beautiful from what I saw. But of the people that I've met from Rwanda or Uganda, just the most loving, kind, excited people I've ever met. Like your husband, angel, absolute angel. Like every time I see him, I'm like, just love that guy.
Yeah, he's a ball of energy. He loves people.
He is a ball of energy. Yes, absolutely. But, he's got no shortage of like hugs and great things to say about like my husband and me and my kid and everything. And he's just so sweet. And again, Jennifer and this guy, the other guy that I knew, and then the guy from Rwanda. It's just like such a loving group of people that you're just really not used to here.
No, well, and that's what was one of like Stuart's hardest adjustments from moving from Uganda as an adult to Canada. He's like, well, where are all the people? And I'm like, what do you mean where are all the people? He's like, well, the streets are quiet. And, and then after a while, like, he would just go knock on our neighbor's door and be like, bring over a coffee and be like, how's it going? You want to hang out? Like, like, we don't do that here,
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, right? Because everybody there, they're so communal, right? Like even for weddings there. So I got married in Uganda. Like the whole village comes together and they help you get married. Like they will, like one person will say, okay, I'll bring some chickens, and some people will bring a cow, and some people say, well, I'll buy the pop, and other people will be like, okay, well, I'm going to buy the tablecloths and the chairs and your wedding dress or whatever. So they all come together. The whole entire village comes together to put on a wedding. So, I mean, I had like 700 people at my wedding and I knew like 3.
It's like an everything potluck.
Yeah, right. And so, I mean,
That's cool.
everybody comes together to make it happen, right? They're very communal people, and they, like, I mean, we hear so much in North America. It's like, oh, like, don't give them your phone number and don't give them your Facebook, or they're all scammers and they're all, there's so many stereotypes, right? But reality is most people from these developing nations, they just want a friend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to think of like how many Canadians are fairly trashy, like, can't trust. So, I mean, they must get a bad rap, but I think we're all thinking like the Nigerian prince here loaned me 30,000 and I'll give you 30 million email scam. I think people probably equate that, but yeah, I love this. I like every single day, I kid you not, since I thought about coming to Uganda, I'm like, okay, Lord, like, tell me, like, teach me, tell me money, all the things. And like every day I kind of just feel like more and more like you really do want this. Like I'll be honest, I hate flying. It's terrifying to me, or not even so much terrifying. I just hate it. Like I feel like I'm in a tin can. And I'm like, how are you going to be on a plane for 20 hours? Like, or longer, or whatever it is. I'm like, you can't do it. And I talk myself out of it. And then I'm like, yes, you can.
It's actually not so bad because they're like really massive planes.
Yeah,
so
that's
we fly. Yeah. So there's like 6 seats in the middle and then 3 on either side.
Wow.
Because you're in the air. So you're in the air. The first flight is to Amsterdam, which is 8 hours. Mm-hmm. So like, I just think of it that way. Like, okay, I have 8 hours and I have another like 10 and a half. But like, I just have to get through the first 8 hours. And then I try to break it up. And if you sleep the first flight, then it's not so bad. You only have to stay awake for 10 hours. And these airlines, they're so big. They're used to people getting up and walking around. Like, it's not like, oh, seat, right? Like, because you're flying. Like, so people get up and they walk around and they visit with each other, and people hang out in the back and go grab some like snacks from the snack cart and, go back to the seat and hang out by the bathrooms. And
like every time I'm on a plane, and maybe it's because I buy the cheap tickets, which are the smallest planes, but I'm like, I'm way too big for the seat. Like I must have the longest leg bones, like, because my knees are like squashed up. And if somebody dares pull their seat backwards in front of me, I've literally waited for someone to go to the bathroom and I pushed his seat back up because like I hate it. And so just the thought of being on a plane, it is stressful to me. But I often think, hey, that's probably just in the background trying to convince me not to go, because like what a life-changing experience this is.
Me and you will like sit in economy class and we'll put the rest of the team in the back of the plane.
Right. We'll get the first class.
I do. I have to sit in economy plus. It's only a little bit of extra leg room, but I'm also 6 feet tall like you. So
I was going to say, if my leg bones are hitting, then your leg bones are hitting, because you're a heck of a lot taller than I am.
I have like the perfect, like I've flown so much that I'm like, I know every travel hack there is out there. So I travel with like, those like butt pillows that you can get from like Tire for your seat. Yeah. So I bring one of those. I put that on the plane seat because then it's like a little more squishy and comfortable.
Yeah.
And then like for like short people, I mean, you can even get like little leg hammocks to put your legs up.
Oh, what?
Like this. Yeah. And they're like $5. And then your neck pillow. And then I like layers, like hoodies. You put your little mask on and you're good to go. I've even seen people do facials on these like 24-hour flights.
I've seen that. You ever watch those things online? It's like, travel with me to Dubai. And it's like this whole suite with like a shower and everything. And I'm like, I'm not a rich person, but like, I think I would save up money for that.
I'm telling you what. I know to fly like first class to Uganda is like $10,000. I'm like, okay, that's like a whole new school building for me. That's like the library. That's what it costs me to build. I'm like, I just can't justify it, but I will spend the extra $150 to upgrade to economy plus.
Yeah.
And I always sit in the aisle, see if I can put my legs out.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I like that you're saying that, because I didn't want anybody to hear this and go, oh, like she spends extra for first class. No, like that money is getting put to good use. You're building schools, you're feeding children, you're getting them healthcare, you're getting them education. Yeah. So why don't you let everybody know where, number one, they can find you, number two, how they can donate if it's on their heart to do so.
Yeah, so you can find me. Our website is lovemadeawayministries.com. Okay. And so it'll show you on there how you can, if you want to donate, you can do it right right through there. You can also donate if you're local to church. Just put in the memo "Love Made A Way," or you can e-transfer at lovemadeawayministries.com. And I encourage you guys to give to Becky as well. She wants to come on this trip, and I need her to come. I need her to be my emotional support bear.
Oh, like me, I'm so good with emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we can process together. We'll go have a moment to process. We'll be like, Becky, I'm gonna lose it.
Right. Us 80s kids were like, get it together. We don't cry in public. No, since cancer, I'm telling you, I am an emotional mess. I was so hardened before. And no kidding, it's probably why, honestly, I got sick, because somewhere emotions have to come out of you. And now I'm like, I see something and I'm like, ah! Like I was watching the Blue Jays game the other day and they had the national anthem and all these choir people were singing national anthem. And I always talk bad about Canada because I think we're in such a bad space right now. But they sang this national anthem and I cried and I was like, this was so beautiful, God. Like, so I don't know. Something's changing inside of me and it's probably for the better.
Crying is good. It's healing.
It is healing. Yeah, I've got a lot out this last year, probably year and a half. A lot has come out of me and I'm very happy because you can't grow if you're holding on to something. So
that's right.
I'm very happy. Well, thank you again for being here. I love your story. I love what you're doing and we need more people like you.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to be on your program and I really hope that all the funds and everything that you need to come to Uganda come together.
Thank you. So people, like, if you don't feel inspired about that, then I don't know. I just love this. I have such a heart for missions and what Kira's doing. And I mean, there's so many missions around you, and you don't even have to be affiliated with a church to do missions, quite honestly. But I just have such a heart for helping others. And yes, I know we have people here in Canada, in the States, in Spruce Grove, where I live, that need help. And I try to help where I can, but sometimes your heart leads you in a different direction. And that's where, for me, for Kira, this is where Uganda comes in. I gotta say, like I was talking about in the intro, holistic healing is all about body, spirit, soul connected. And you can't heal any of the other parts unless you're working on all of those parts. I could eat the best food and work out every single day and go to every therapist and deal with all my traumas. But quite honestly, the more I dig into it, the more I'm drawn to the spiritual side of everything, because I don't know, if you don't have that spiritual side, if you don't have God, honestly, I'll say it, it's like, how are you going to get anywhere? How are you going to heal? And so I know I don't talk much about my spiritual life on this show. The odd time it comes up, it's just not really the focus of the show, but I'm not ashamed of it by any means. So I just encourage people, if you're missing something, if there's a piece missing in your healing journey, if you're doing all the things, all the holistic, all the supplements, all the eating, all the whatever trauma, and something's missing, you may want to consider that there's a higher power that created you, and you're not acknowledging that, or you're not releasing and letting go to that. So anyways, that's it for today. Join us next week when we have a lady here. This is a terrible story. Well, it's uplifting, but she was told that she was never going to amount to anything because she has disabilities. I can't believe people say that, but she will be here next week telling her very inspirational story about how she overcame that. So make sure you are back with us every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, or somewhere around there, depending on when I get to posting it. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful day.